Hello everyone, this is the TinyShark from Falcon MultiRotors, featuring an F3 flight controller with an OSD, a 6-amp 4-in-1 ESC, DYS 1102 10,000 kV motors, Turbo Wing 25 milliwatt VTX and camera, Cyclone 2035 props. I'm getting 95 millimeters motor post to motor post. Bottom plate is 2 millimeters. Height including the shark fin is 30 millimeters. It's a stretched X. Mine weighs 43.61 grams. I flew it with the GNB 452S battery. TinyShark, TinyShark. Doing whatever TinyShark does. Can he swing from a branch? No, he can't. He's a shark. Look out. Here comes a TinyShark.
As we head into this flight, please note that the leaves are moving on that tree. Not a lot, but there is some wind, and I thought I'd bring that up just so you would understand that, you can fly something like this in a little bit of a breeze. It's not terrible. I think if I recall correctly, it was under 10 miles an hour. But I take off pretty quickly, kind of my normal flight takeoff, but then I quickly settle into a cruise, and that's really what this is it's a little 2S cruiser. It's going to give us a pretty long flight time. As you see, this flight, I believe it comes in around 4 minutes and 10 seconds. We might get a little bit over that on the landing part of the flight. You are restricted as to the amount of camera tilt, and that's kind of one thing that makes it a cruiser. And I don't want to give a cruiser a negative connotation here, because when I fly poorly, what I tend to do is I tend to turn to something that's more of a cruiser. Oftentimes when we go out to fly, we're trying to find new gaps, or we're trying to fly faster or harder, or do a new trick, or maybe something you tried on the simulator or something like that. We're trying to push. It's kind of the nature of what we're doing. We're trying to get better. We're trying to do things that may be a little bit out of our comfort zone. And then we start to struggle, and there's the frustration that builds, and then it's time for something like this. Something where you can just go around, you can just have some fun, you can do close proximity if you want to, you can just do straight line, low runs, maybe around your sidewalk or something of that nature. You can take it out to a field and just cruise over the tops of the plants. And I flew it right by the table there just to indicate how quiet this is with these Cyclone props on there, the 2035s. It's a very quiet flyer. So if you live in an area where maybe others are sensitive to that noise, or maybe they just think you're, I don't know, spying on them for some ridiculous reason, that seems to come up quite a bit. Little punch there. We can't throw it over the house and the video breaks up. Unfortunately, the video isn't great because I think my antenna has taken a little bit of damage. And I don't know if I have the right wavelength on the antenna anymore. Because even though it's a cruiser, I tended to fly it around the swing set there and through some tree gaps, and sometimes those don't go so well. Not a perfect pilot by any stretch of the imagination. If you wanted to build this up and make it more aggressive, you could definitely use 1104 motors. You could fly at 3S. I don't know if that would be a great idea, just because again, your camera angle is limited, but it would give you more upward thrust if you wanted to do practice some floating maneuvers. So 1104 motors are going to produce more thrust. These are just 1102s on here, but I felt the 1102s performed pretty well, and it gave me the thrust and the control that I was looking for when flying this around in the backyard and just kind of doing some fun things. It did take me a while to adjust to this all-in-one camera. Sometimes when we get to flying these CCD cameras, and even the super wide field of view, the 2.1 millimeter lens, these all-in-one camera and VTXs have a much wider field of view, or at least maybe it's the fisheye of the lens that makes it feel that way. So that took me a few packs to get used to. But once you do settle in, it makes it pretty easy to fly. And it's again, it's very small, it's very light. It should be one of the safer quads to fly. I never suggest flying around other people, or especially not getting too close to them. But if you happen to be in an area where you fly and sometimes people sneak up on you or something, this should be relatively safe, so where you can bring it in to land if you choose to. I didn't work too hard on the PIDs. I just felt that it flew pretty well. I think I spent a little time tuning it, but you'll probably pick out some flaws in the flight footage that indicate that the PID tune isn't great. And a lot of times I'll get them 60 to 70% there, and I could be happy with that. Machines that I tend to fly more and more and more, I might fly them and do little PID tweaks, and then eventually over weeks get the tune to where I just don't fuss with it anymore. But I don't tune fast, but that's what we have here. Bring it in for a little flight landing here. Hopefully it's a landing. I don't think oh yeah, I do a crash land. Bonk. There we go. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please leave those in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.